Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of ICD-10 CM coding. I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you about the two chapters we're going to be covering this week. That is chapters 20 and 21. These two chapters feel a little bit different from the other things that we've covered, and so I want to give them their due. We have to understand the why. Once you understand the why behind these codes, why they exist, and what they're looking at, it's a lot easier to code them. Let's code these, or let's look at the codes, I should say, for chapter 20, congenital malformations and chromosomal abnormalities and genetic disorders. The big takeaway here, if a condition is present at birth, it belongs in this chapter, even if it's not diagnosed until later in life. These codes can be used throughout the patient's lifetime as long as the condition still exists. There's a couple of very, very important rules that we'll touch on in this chapter. And the first one is that we never use these codes on the maternal record. They only go on the infant or the patient, if you will. For newborns, in other words, the patient is born in the hospital at the time of this encounter, the Z38 code, in other words, newborn status code, comes first, then followed by the congenital conditions. If the baby is transferred to another hospital for specialized care, again, going back to that rule that we talked about, you can only be a newborn once. We wouldn't add the newborn code, even though the baby's only days or in some cases hours old. If a condition has been corrected, you don't use the code for the congenital anomaly or what have you. You would use the history code. And then very important, read the tabular. If you read the tabular carefully, you'll see those notes that say use additional codes. It'll make your life a lot easier. Now we're going to take a look at chapter 21. Chapter 21 deals with signs or symptoms. A key thing to bear in mind is uncertainty. These codes cover symptoms, signs, any abnormal clinical finding, abnormal imaging, what have you, when there isn't a confirmed diagnosis yet. Here is the very most important rule, in my opinion, out of this chapter, and that is if a definitive diagnosis is established and the code for the sign or symptom is an inherent part of that established diagnosis, you don't code for the sign or symptom. Symptoms that are routinely associated with the disease are not coded separately. Symptoms that are not routinely associated with an established diagnosis should be coded when present. There's other additional guidelines that we'll get into, the coma scale, altered mental status, and other codes for signs and symptoms. Once again, everybody continues to improve. I've noticed a lot of improved accuracy, coding to a higher level of specificity, and these are all very, very positive things that I'm seeing. You'll also be able to look at some things. I'm working in Canvas to create some reports where you'll be able to go and look at how you've been doing in terms of some of the more specific things that we can address in terms of coding. So from what I can see, overall, everybody continues to improve. So I'd like to congratulate you on this and keep moving forward because we're almost at the very end of winter term. That's all I have for you. Please reach out about any of the material that you see this week. You can reach me during office hours or schedule an appointment. I'll be glad to meet with you by Zoom. Thank you so much and have a great week. Bye now.